You folks need to leave right now.
Officer, we're just eating lunch. We just ordered. What do we do?
I've had complaints you're causing a disturbance. You need to vacate the premises.
A disturbance? We're sitting here with our kids. Who complained?
That's not your concern. Leave voluntarily or this becomes an arrest situation.
You folks need to leave right now. Officer, we're just having lunch. We literally just ordered. What are we supposed to do? I've received complaints. You're creating a disturbance. You need to exit the restaurant. A disturbance. We're sitting calmly with our children. Who complained? That's not your concern. Leave on your own, or this turns into an arrest situation. Officer Keith Morrison believed he was answering a valid service call. As a patrol officer with the Lakewood Police Department, he treated disturbance reports seriously, especially inside family-oriented restaurants where owners wanted to protect what he described as standards. When a call came in from Betty's Diner about a disruptive family at 12:30 p.m. on a bright Sunday afternoon, he arrived within minutes. But when he stepped inside the diner and saw a black family of 4 quietly seated in a booth eating lunch, every biased instinct he had developed over his 14-year career told him they were the issue. They didn't match his idea of Betty's usual customers. Their mere presence had apparently made someone uncomfortable enough to contact police. And in Morrison's prejudiced view, that alone justified forcing them out. What he didn't realize, what he completely overlooked in his rush to enforce discrimination, was that his own body camera was capturing everything. Every sentence he said, every movement he made, every moment of racial profiling recorded in high-definition video with crystal-clear audio from his own device. The very tool meant to shield officers from false claims became the proof that ended his career and cost the city $1.8 million. Before we move on, where are you watching from? If this is your first time here, please hit that subscribe button. Stories like this must be shared, and your support helps us expose more truth. Officer Keith Morrison had served the Lakewood Police Department for 14 years, building what supervisors described as a strong record of community policing. But behind that image were 23 complaints over 12 years from citizens accusing him of discriminatory enforcement and harassment of minorities in public places. Each complaint had been reviewed by Internal Affairs and dismissed as simple misunderstandings. Morrison had come to understand that as long as he said he was acting on requests from business owners or complaints from citizens, his department would stand behind him. The Lakewood Police Department had rolled out mandatory body cameras 3 years earlier following a string of misconduct allegations. Officers were required to activate their cameras during all interactions with citizens, every call for service, and all enforcement actions. The policy was straightforward. Failure to turn on a body camera could lead to discipline, but in reality, officers often claimed they forgot or that the equipment malfunctioned at critical moments. Morrison himself had failed to activate his camera on at least 12 documented occasions over the previous 3 years, always during encounters that later generated complaints. But on this Sunday afternoon, whether by routine habit or sheer confidence that he was acting within the rules, Morrison had turned on his body camera as he stepped out of his patrol car. That single choice would become his undoing. Dr. Marcus Henderson, 41, was a pediatric surgeon at Children's Memorial Hospital. His wife, Angela Henderson, 39, was a corporate attorney at one of the city's most elite law firms. They lived in Lakewood's upscale Westridge neighborhood and were raising their children, Tyler, 9, and Maya, 7, with a strong focus on education and self-respect. They were highly accomplished professionals, but they were also black, which meant they routinely encountered discrimination. That Sunday afternoon had begun perfectly. The Henderson family attended church and then decided to grab lunch at Betty's Diner, a local staple known for classic comfort food. They had eaten there twice before without any problems. When they arrived at 12:15 p.m., the diner was moderately busy with the after-church crowd. They were seated in a booth near the window, ordered drinks and meals, and chatted quietly while Tyler and Maya colored on their kids' menus. Everything felt completely normal until a white couple seated in a nearby booth began staring at them. Dr. Henderson noticed but chose to ignore it, keeping his attention on his family. The staring continued, followed by whispered remarks. Then the white couple stood up, walked to the counter and spoke quietly with someone who appeared to be the manager. 5 minutes later, Officer Morrison walked through the front door, his body camera switched on and recording from the center of his chest. capturing everything at eye level as his gaze swept across the room. Morrison's body camera footage would later reveal exactly what he saw the moment he entered. A calm dining room filled with families eating, soft conversations, and children laughing. The camera slowly panned across the restaurant as Morrison surveyed the space. And when it settled on the Henderson family, the only black patrons in the diner, Morrison moved straight toward them. The footage captured his approach, his hand sliding to rest on his duty belt, his stance stiff and confrontational. "You folks need to leave right now," Morrison announced loudly enough for nearby tables to hear. The body camera recorded the Henderson family's reactions from Morrison's point of view, their confused faces lifting toward him, the instant shock and fear washing over their expressions. Dr. Henderson placed his fork down, his hands shaking slightly. "Officer, we're eating lunch. We just ordered. What did we do?" The body camera's microphone picked up the tremble in Dr. Henderson's voice and captured his hand instinctively reaching for his son's shoulder, a protective gesture clearly visible in the frame. "I've received complaints that you're causing a disturbance," Morrison said. The camera recorded his sharp, authoritative tone and the way he stood looming over the family. "You need to vacate the premises." Angela Henderson's voice faltered, her legal training failing her in the shock of the moment. "A disturbance, officer? We're sitting here with our kids. We haven't, we're just eating. Who complained? What exactly did they say we did?" The body camera captured Angela quickly wiping her eyes, trying to stay composed in front of her children. It recorded the fear in her voice and the confusion etched across her face. "That's not your concern," Morrison replied dismissively. "Leave voluntarily or this becomes an arrest situation." Dr. Henderson's voice cracked slightly. "But we paid for our food." "We haven't. I don't understand what we did wrong. Can you please just tell us what someone said we did?" The camera captured Tyler looking up at his father, his eyes wide, trying to understand why a police officer was standing over his family. The 9-year-old's face shifted from confusion to fear. The audio picked up Maya beginning to cry softly. "Sir, don't make me ask again," Morrison said, his voice hardening. The microphone captured every inflection, the threat barely hidden. "You and your family need to leave this establishment immediately, or I will arrest you for trespassing." Angela pulled her daughter close, her own eyes filling with tears. The body camera recorded it all from Morrison's point of view. The humiliation of a family being threatened for the simple act of eating lunch, captured by the officer's own equipment. Before Dr. Henderson could respond, a voice cut through the tension from off-camera. "Officer Morrison, what the hell is going on here?" The body camera swung as Morrison turned, capturing Bill Thompson, the actual owner of Betty's Diner, stepping out from the kitchen. Thompson, a white man in his late 60s who had owned Betty's for 30 years, looked between Morrison and the Henderson family with visible alarm. "Mr. Thompson," Morrison said, his confidence still intact. The camera steadied as he faced the owner. "I received a call about a disturbance. I'm handling it." "A disturbance?" Thompson stepped closer, now centered in the body camera frame. "From who?" "I've been in the kitchen. Nobody told me about any disturbance." Morrison gestured vaguely, the movement clearly captured by his own camera. "One of your customers called it in. These people need to leave." The body camera recorded Thompson walking past Morrison toward the booth, the frame following his movement. "Dr. Henderson, Mrs. Henderson, have you been causing any problems?" "No, sir," Dr. Henderson replied, his voice steadier now. The camera captured his face as Morrison watched the exchange. "We've been sitting here eating with our kids. We haven't bothered anyone." Should police officers who remove customers from businesses without legitimate cause face federal prosecution? Comment your thoughts below. This wasn't just harassment. This was an officer using his authority to enforce discrimination, and his own body camera was documenting every second. Thompson's voice rose, now clearly audible on Morrison's body camera. "Then there's no disturbance, and they're not leaving. They're customers who paid for food." The body camera captured Morrison's hands tensing at the bottom of the frame. "Mr. Thompson, I received a complaint. From who? Thompson demanded, now facing Morrison directly, centered in the camera's view. Show me. Morrison's camera shifted as he pointed toward an empty booth. They were customers who... They left, Thompson interrupted. The camera showed his posture changing, becoming protective as he stepped between Morrison and the Henderson family. And even if they were still here, I don't remove paying customers because someone is uncomfortable with their presence. This is my diner, and everyone is welcome as long as they're respectful and pay for their food. The Hendersons have done both. The body camera's microphone picked up the diner going silent. The footage captured several customers in the background pulling out their phones, unaware that a far more damning recording was already taking place from Morrison's own chest. Morrison stepped closer to Thompson, the camera capturing the attempted intimidation as Thompson's face filled more of the frame. Sir, if you don't support police efforts to maintain order in your establishment, order. Thompson cut in, his voice rising, the body camera capturing every word clearly. You're trying to kick out a family who's done nothing wrong. That's discrimination. The body camera recorded Morrison clenching his jaw, visible as he glanced downward. Mr. Thompson, I suggest you reconsider. The police department has a good relationship with your business. You wouldn't want that to change. The threat was unmistakable on the recording. The camera captured Thompson's expression shifting as he recognized exactly what Morrison had just implied. Officer Morrison. Angela's voice came from off-camera, and Morrison's body camera turned toward her as she held up her phone. I'm Angela Henderson. I'm an attorney. I'm recording this. You've just threatened a business owner for refusing to discriminate against us. We haven't broken any laws. If you arrest us, there will be consequences. Morrison's own body camera now recorded Angela holding her phone up, capturing the irony of two recordings documenting the same encounter from different angles. Ma'am, put that phone away or I'll confiscate it, Morrison said, his voice preserved by his own microphone. For what? Angela asked, visible in the camera frame, her hands shaking but the phone steady. Recording police is legal. You know that. Thompson stepped back into frame, positioning himself between Morrison's camera and the family. Officer, I'm telling you as the owner, these customers are welcome here. They've done nothing wrong. I'm asking you to leave my diner. The body camera captured Morrison standing there, recording the brief silence as he processed what was unfolding. You're making a mistake, he said coldly. Both of you will regret this. The camera recorded him turning away, walking toward the exit, the image bouncing slightly with each step. It captured the relieved murmurs and scattered applause from other diners as he left. What Morrison didn't realize as he walked out was that his body camera had documented everything. Every discriminatory remark, every threatening gesture, every second of the family's fear. The very device meant to protect him would become the central evidence of his misconduct. Morrison returned to his patrol car and, following standard procedure, uploaded his body camera footage to the department's secure server at the end of his shift. He wrote a report claiming he had responded to a legitimate disturbance call and that the family left voluntarily after he explained the complaint. The report omitted the business owner contradicting him. It made no mention of the threats, no mention that the family had been completely peaceful. It was a narrative crafted to justify his actions. But the body camera footage told a very different story. When the Henderson family filed their complaint with the police department 3 days later, the Internal Affairs Unit was required to review all relevant evidence, including Morrison's body camera footage. What they saw directly contradicted Morrison's report. Videos from customers' phones had already begun circulating online, showing the confrontation from multiple angles. But when the Henderson family's attorneys subpoenaed Morrison's body camera footage during discovery, they obtained the definitive recording. High-definition video with flawless audio, capturing every moment from Morrison's own perspective, recorded by equipment issued by the department specifically to document officer interactions. That body camera footage became the foundation of everything that followed. It was undeniable. Morrison couldn't claim the sound was unclear or that the video failed to show what actually happened. This was his own equipment, his own recording, documenting his own discriminatory enforcement. Civil rights organizations filed Freedom of Information requests for all of Morrison's body camera footage from disturbance calls over the previous 3 years. What they uncovered was alarming. Of the 89 times Morrison activated his body camera for business disturbance calls, 73 involved complaints against people of color. The footage revealed a consistent pattern. Morrison approaching minorities in businesses, making immediate assumptions of wrongdoing, threatening arrest for vague violations, and in many cases forcing people to leave even when business owners said there was no issue. In 12 other instances where complaints had been filed against Morrison, his body camera had mysteriously not been activated, conveniently leaving no video record of encounters witnesses described as discriminatory. The investigation expanded far beyond Betty's Diner. Morrison had responded to similar calls at 9 other businesses. In total, body camera footage and witness testimony showed he had removed or threatened 47 people of color over 4 years based on complaints that were openly racist. Internal emails revealed Morrison's sergeant was aware of the pattern. In one message, Morrison asked how to handle complaints from residents about undesirable elements in local businesses. The sergeant replied, "Use discretion if business owners want help maintaining their clientele standards. We support them within the law." That email, combined with the body camera evidence, demonstrated departmental knowledge and tacit approval of Morrison's conduct. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the district opened a federal civil rights investigation. This was not an isolated incident. Body camera footage from multiple encounters showed a systematic pattern of discrimination enabled by departmental policy. Federal prosecutors built a case not only against Morrison but for conspiracy to deprive civil rights involving his sergeant and the department's implicit approval system. Morrison was arrested 6 months after the diner incident. He was charged with multiple counts of conspiracy to deprive civil rights under 18 U.S.C. Section 241 and deprivation of rights under color of law under 18 U.S.C. Section 242. His sergeant was charged as a co-conspirator. The federal trial lasted 3 weeks. Prosecutors played Morrison's body camera footage from Betty's Diner on courtroom monitors in devastating clarity. Jurors watched from Morrison's own viewpoint as he targeted the Henderson family, ignored their explanations, threatened them and the business owner, all while the family sat peacefully eating lunch. Prosecutors then introduced body camera footage from 17 other incidents showing the same discriminatory pattern. 47 victims testified about being removed from businesses while doing nothing wrong. Bill Thompson testified about Morrison's threats. Statistical experts presented data demonstrating Morrison's selective enforcement. The defense argued Morrison acted on legitimate complaints, but the body camera footage undermined that claim at every turn. The video showed calm families, no disturbances, and Morrison's immediate targeting based solely on race. Morrison rejected multiple plea offers, insisting he had done nothing wrong. The jury deliberated for 2 days. The verdict was guilty on multiple counts of conspiracy to deprive civil rights and deprivation of rights under color of law. Under federal sentencing guidelines, considering multiple victims and abuse of authority, Morrison was sentenced to 3 years and 10 months in federal prison. His sergeant, who pleaded guilty before trial, received 18 months. The civil rights lawsuit filed by the Henderson family proceeded separately. Their attorney sued Morrison, his sergeant, and the Lakewood Police Department for civil rights violations, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and systemic discrimination. Morrison's own body camera footage made settlement talks brief. City attorneys knew the video was indefensible. The case settled for $1.88 million and mandated sweeping reforms. Independent civilian oversight with investigative authority. Mandatory bias training with quarterly testing. Strict body camera activation requirements with severe penalties for violations. Civilian review of all body camera footage from business-related calls. Demographic data collection on all removals with public quarterly reports. A zero-tolerance policy for selective enforcement and documentation requirements for all removal requests. The settlement also included provisions to identify and compensate the 47 other victims through a $400,000 fund. The case became a landmark example in confronting police-enabled discrimination. Law schools began teaching it as a clear demonstration of how officers' own body cameras can provide irrefutable proof of civil rights violations. Bill Thompson's diner saw increased business from customers supporting his stance. He posted a sign prominently, "All customers are welcome at Betty's Diner. We do not tolerate discrimination of any kind." The Henderson family used part of their settlement to create the Henderson Equal Access Fund, providing legal representation to victims of discrimination who could not afford attorneys. Officer Morrison served his federal sentence, still insisting he had simply been doing his job. He never apologized to the Henderson family or to his other victims, never acknowledged the harm his own body camera had captured so clearly. The irony was not lost on civil rights advocates. Morrison activated his body camera in compliance with policy, confident he was responding to a legitimate complaint. That same camera, intended to shield officers from false accusations, became the evidence that exposed his systematic discrimination. The lesson was unmistakable. Body cameras work both ways. They can protect officers who act lawfully, but they also document those who abuse their authority. And when an officer's own body camera captures him discriminating against a peaceful family eating lunch, there is no defense, no excuse, no way to rewrite the truth. Officer Keith Morrison walked into a diner expecting to remove a black family, just as he had done many times before. He forgot, in his rush to enforce discrimination, that his own body camera was recording everything. His 14-year career ended in federal prison, undone by the very equipment meant to protect him. The Henderson family walked into Betty's Diner for a simple Sunday lunch. They encountered blatant discrimination.